Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Derpzilla channel, and today, once again, I'll be working on my 21 Camaro ZL1 right here, which is still up on my quick jack lift. If you saw my previous video series, a 5-part series, I did the front ZL1 1LE carbon fiber, well, partial carbon fiber conversion, so make sure you check that out. And that's when I actually put this up on the lift, and I figured I would knock out some more videos, more installs, more mods while I already have it up here, so I don't have to drop it back down, hang them back up on the wall, all that fun stuff. So today we're going to do kind of maybe a 2-part series over the next few days, but today I'm going to be working on getting these C8 style taillights from Addict installed. And so in this video we'll actually cover the removal of the rear bumper, because on the 2019 and up Camaros, fortunately, the whole freaking rear bumper has to come off just to get the tail lights off the car and the new ones in. And so this first video, which we'll be doing today, I'll be pulling the bumper off, installing the new fancy tail lights, and then the next video, so not in this one, I'm gonna keep this bumper off. I'm actually gonna be installing Anderson composite rear diffuser right here, and while I'm doing that, I'm actually going to also be pulling off, actually leaving these reflectors on my OEM diffuser, and I have some smoke diffuser lights I'm going to put onto the Anderson composite diffuser, so I still can keep this as a solid piece. And I kind of messed up when I put the tint on these, and they bubbled up a little bit, so I figured I might as well, I'm going to have this off. I'm just going to leave this on here, and I'm going to put the new smoked deflectors on the new diffusers. Actually, back there behind all these random things laying out, I'm working on about 10 different projects right now, so excuse the mess. But so for this, what I recommend is setting up a bumper stand of some sort here that you can take the bumper up and you can set it on there. It can keep it off the ground, not getting all scratched up. So I actually have one from Harbor Freight I'm going to roll out here in a moment. I'll have a link in the description for that. I'm going to put it right here, put some extra microfibers on there, and then we're going to go ahead and walk through the process of getting this bumper off. So let's go ahead and I'll get everything situated. We'll jump in here and we'll start working on this. We're going to go ahead and begin on removing this rear bumper here. And a quick overview of what you need to do. Go under here, and you're in the rear wheel well area, the back portion. Of course, you have 3 T15s you're going to have to remove. I have ACS rock guards, as you can see here. So yours may look a little bit different if you do not have these. And then if we swing underneath the car by the diffuser, you're going to have a T15 here, and then some 7mm. You got 4 here, 4 on the other side, and also another T15. And then you have in the middle, I believe you have to take these off, but you have a 2 7mm and another T15. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of this. Once we have these all removed, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have to peel back this liner insert here, and I'll show you what we need to do once we have this pulled out of the way. I have all of the main bolts removed, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this T15 up here. Just give me a little bit more leeway on pulling this fender liner up and out of the way so we can access everything right under here. Pulled the liner out just a little bit. I'll show you guys what we're looking for in here. If I can get this light in there, but let's see here, got it there we go. And you kind of see in here, but you got 2 harnesses here and a plug up here. Those have the little red tabs you need to push out, and then you can release the harnesses. So make sure you release both of those. And then also this one, which is for your side markers. Here I have the dynamic side markers, but then also kind of sneakily, there is a 7mm bolt here upwards. It's right above one of these bolt clip here for the liner. So you want to remove that. Your 3 plugs, do that on both sides, and then we can pull and pop out this side portion of our bumper. I'm gonna go ahead and knock those out. We'll come back here and we'll see if I can get this thing to snap out. And then we'll move up into the trunk area, which I've already opened up. We have a few things we have to do in the trunk, and then we can go ahead and get this bumper off. Finished up both sides, haven't popped it loose yet. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of the trunk. Now do note, there's no plugs on this side. I believe you don't have to unhook the side markers. I mentioned that. So I don't think you need to unplug those. I do see some stuff, wires, looks like they clip apart. And I have a bird that flew into my garage while I was working on this thing, and he's too dumb to figure out how to fly out of my garage. So I've been messing with that for the last half an hour, trying to get this bird out of my garage. I guess always some kind of weird distraction when trying to work. Probably can see him over there. Looks like a cardinal or something like that. So he keeps flying on top of my doors. I lower the doors halfway, upward, down. He keeps flying from side to side to my exhaust, side to side. So I'm hoping he doesn't peg me in the head while I'm trying to work on this stuff, or blast into the side of my car. So hopefully he can find his way out. I'm not sure how I can convince him to leave the garage. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and do the trunk portion. So you're gonna open up your trunk, and you have these little clips here. Remove them with some kind of clip removal tool, you know, have something like this, or a soft plastic one might be a little bit better so you don't scratch it up. And then you're going to remove these little covers on both sides. I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out real quick and attempt to catch this bird and get him outside. So maybe I'll do a 2-for-1 here. Removed these little taillight cover things here, and I think the main reason you do that is because they have little hooks in the end, so make sure you don't break those off as you remove it. And I think I wanted to point out real quick, as I dodged the bird flying around my garage, is there is a plug right here. It's kind of weird, but it's got a normal clip you have to push down and kind of pop it out. You need to remove that, otherwise you'll have your bumper stuck to your car as you try to pull the bumper off. So just wanted to point that out. I'm not sure if that's just 2019 and up. Some cars don't have it, but this one surely does. So just make sure you remove that. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pop these clips out. From what I understand is you just gotta force it out and get this thing to release on the side. And we're gonna work our way around, remove the center, and yeah, get everything popped out. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to do that. I have the sides unclipped, and kind of a trick, you just wanna get kind of the edge. Don't reach in too deep, because then you're like pulling on the liner and some other stuff and you're not actually releasing. You need to get kind of the edge underneath the liner, and then you can release these clips pretty much straight out like this, and then I believe it's gonna have to come out like this. So this is gonna be the tricky part. I'm gonna try not to drop it on the ground. So I'm gonna need both hands for this. I'll let you guys know any tips if I find anything out as I'm releasing the rest of this bumper, and hopefully getting this thing out and on my bumper stand on the other side of the car. Still dodging the bird. He is, I guess that's where bird brain comes from, because this guy is just back and forth. A full two-door door right here, garage door, and a single door, both of them open, half open, closed. He just keeps flying on top of them. So I'm hoping he doesn't bean my carbon fiber trunk as he flies out, or injures himself, or my car, or my luck, I'll look up and he'll catch me in the eye, and I'll be wearing an eye patch for future videos. Now he's attacking my security system. So now I guess he's getting fueled up on some E85. Maybe we'll give him a little turbo charge and he'll fly out this door. And as you can see, the bumper came off. Not too bad. And maybe a little better view on that wire I was telling you about. This one right here, you want to make sure you remove that, otherwise you'll go to pull the bumper off and it'll still be tethered to the rear of your car. Definitely need to take care of this. Thing's rattled around. But pretty much just start at the end, pull straight out, clip it around, get to this edge to the other side, and then just work your way, get your fingers in there until it completely comes unclipped. And here is the bumper stand as I spoke about. You can see it lays on it pretty nice. I might adjust it maybe closer so I can have a little bit more support, or further apart and fit it through here. But it just gives you an idea, and I can flip my bumper upside down to work on when I work on my following video when I do the diffuser, but also take good opportunity to, you know, wipe everything down that maybe you'll miss, or if your car's been sitting for a while like mine has, clean up all this underside stuff here. I'm gonna wipe all this down, get it nice and clean. You can see here these are the clips that were holding the bumper in the center section, and then I think it also clips onto here maybe, but then it has these little feeder clips here. So, but if you're looking at a 2016 and 2018, this is different. So this whole method is a little bit different. So watch one of those videos if you're trying to remove your bumper for that. So now we're gonna go ahead and get these taillights off. One thing I do recommend, always go ahead and get your negative release. You probably should have done that before you started unsnapping the other clips, but this is just a reminder before I'm actually unhooking the tail lights and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything situated, and then I'm gonna start working on the tail lights. A little bit of light glare here, but I want to show you real quick. You need to remove this panel right here, or at least be able to access behind the tail lights on each side. You have some clips here you need to pop out. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and pull out my floor liner, and then you need to pull off, I believe I'm gonna have to remove this as well, just so I can peel this back. I have the GM little net here. You'll have clips, but I have, or it's little screws, I can't remember. I have these little tie downs that just screw off, so I'm gonna have to remove all 4 of these, remove this net, then this should be able to pop out. But if you have a cargo liner or something like me, you have to remove that, and that should give me some access to the bottom here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get all this situated, the clips popped out, this removed, and then we'll have to be able to pull back the line. You have to remove all of it, just pull it back far enough so you can access behind your taillights. But there are some screws we're gonna have to unscrew to get these taillights removed. My daughter wearing her grandma's shirt, trying to catch the bird. Go get it.
No,
grab it with your bare hands.
I don't have an... Oh, shit.
Just bite it.
No. Can we have it? Do you have it? It's doing this on purpose.
He's been here for like 5 hours. He's obviously a dumb bird. Why don't you talk to him in your...
He does realize it's open.
Bro, language.
Oh, shoot.
All right, go grab him.
Maybe you can like chase him out.
Just grab him with your grandma's shirt.
Stop, I don't have a grandma shirt on. Wait, what if you like got like a...
All right, my daughter was unsuccessful in retrieving the bird, even wearing her grandma looking sweater. So back to the taillights once again, and we have a quick summary. I'm on the passenger side here, of course. I already went ahead and unplugged the connector. As you can see here, it's got that little red tab. You pull that out, then you just squeeze a little black tab where the red tab was pretty much protecting, and then you can just pull the plug out. And then you also need to remove the little I guess wire plug, whatever that holds it to the taillight. And then you have 2 7mm bolts here and here. Go ahead and remove those. And then the fun part, now as you can see here, I went ahead and removed the inner liner here. And really for that, I'll give you a better view. I unhooked, there's one clip up here, there's a clip on the bottom, a clip here, and then if you can see my arm here, this whole piece right here comes out, and we'll do a little flyby here, and that's pretty much this thing. It's gonna be 4 screw things on the other side of here, and then you have to just push it straight up. That's where these little tabs are. So when you push it straight up, it'll lift up and out. And then that will open up this whole area here. Do the same on this side. And then you can pull this back, and you have access 3 8mm nuts. 2 are right here, pretty easy to actually reach. And then there's one, you can kind of see it sticking out behind that little brace or little piece right there. There is the other 8mm. That one I almost forgot about. And yeah, taking the taillights out with that still in does not work. So you'll also notice there's a couple almost look like orange clips behind this. Those are just lock-ins, so the screw post push and lock in. There's no nut or anything. So you remove these 3, 2, and the plug. grab this thing straight on, and then you want to just grab it and pull them straight towards you, and they should snap out. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can get this thing removed, and then we'll move on. Here we go. Jesus. All right, almost had a man down there. So tail light is off, and it's kind of tricky, but it did pop out and nothing broke. So I consider that kind of a win. Set that aside here. Grab the camera so we can see what we're looking at here. And these are kind of the two ones I was talking about. They have a normal screw post that goes through here, but they just kind of lock in on these lock clips. So there's no nut behind these. The one you have the nut is here, here, and here. That's one's removed in the back. And then here's the two front ones. Make sure you clean everything up nice and fancy. I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cleaned up. I'm gonna remove this side as well. And then we'll have a nice clean slate, wipe everything down, nice and pretty. Then we'll swing over to the Auto Addict C8 style light. I think I have to do some wiring, stuff like that. So we'll go over the wiring, and then we'll get everything installed. Everything has been cleaned off, nice and pretty. Even kind of wiped down the underside of my trunk. And yeah, the bird has finally flown out of my garage. He actually didn't leave until last night. I turned all the lights off, had my fancy little RGB IC lights on here. I had them on some kind of morning looking effect. And as soon as I turned the lights off, like 5 minutes later, he just jumped right out. Like, I wish he would have done that much earlier, but he's out. It's actually the following day, and we're continuing this video. The bird didn't attack my car, so that was cool. Anyway, so we're moved over to the actual tail lights themselves. Here is the OEM one, right side, and here is the Auto Addict C8 Umbra light. And one thing I want to point out real quick, if you notice on these lights, there is this bracket right here. And so what you need to do is, I'll move this so you can see it a little bit better, but you want to actually unsnap this clip. You're gonna need to get like a little screwdriver over here to pop this out, and then it'll pop right out. And then you have two Phillip head screws here, and then this will feed through this little hole. You lift this piece up, this little bracket here, and you do need to transport it to your new C8 style lights. As you can see here, I've already done it on this one. I moved it over, and it turns out this bracket, I guess we don't reuse this because the Umbra light actually has it kind of mounted on its own little bracket down here, as you can see here. And so once you move it over, you just want to make sure you bring the correct bracket over, otherwise it won't line up. And so it kind of swoops in front of the lens here, as you can see here. And so that's what we're gonna have. So I'm gonna do that on this other light I haven't even taken out. I recommend leaving the styrofoam or whatever, this saran wrap on the front, just give a little extra protection on your lens here. So I kind of just pulled it out of the place so the bracket wouldn't sit on top of it. And then once you move both of your brackets over, we can talk about the wiring, which I had a moment ago. And oh, here we go. So I'll show you guys what you need to do as far as wiring. So if you notice in the back of your light, you have the connector that's actually going to the car. And you also have a set of two resistors. This prevents hyperblink, which you do not want. Your car will look crazy. And I think it causes some other issues. So definitely want to make sure you hook these up. And it looks like they're self-contained. So it's kind of weird they weren't not built into the light. But what you'll have on each one of these lights will be a little plug. You want to just plug that in. And then you have some 3M. We can 3M it somewhere kind of out of place. Once I get these kind of lined up on the car, I'll see where the best spot where we can 3M this so it won't be causing any issues on reinstall. And then you also notice you have a brown wire here, and I believe these actually go to your third brake light harness, which is what this is. And the third brake light harness, I guess, tells these lights when your actual backup light needs to light up. I guess it's not handled through the harness itself, so it's going to get that logic from your third brake light. I'm actually running a sequenced Night Rider style, an inverted Night Rider. third brake light. I'll put a link up to that video up here. So I've actually tied into my wiring somewhat, but cool thing about this, it looks like it will actually just replace or actually tap in to your actual plug of your third brake light, and then you'll have a set of wire come down, and then it splits off into a T, one for each light. I'm going to run it, I'll show you over here real quick. My plan is, since I've already done a lot of wiring for my show mode, which is what this is for my third brake light, it lets me run my third brake light effects with the car off. But I plan on we're going to pull this off. We'll talk about that when we get to that. And I'm going to run both the wires down here. I'm going to tuck them in under here, and then I guess I'll bring it around through here to this light, and then I'll most likely bring the other wire around down here somewhere to this side. I don't want to run another wire down over here when I already have an allocation and a cutout, and then I'll just kind of tape it to this harness here, so it's just like one big extra thick harness or something like that. So I don't want multiple cables, and we'll just run it that way. Should work out fine. And so that's really how the wiring is. Super plug and play, no splicing. I was thinking I was gonna have to do some splicing, but it looks like they handled all that. All gonna be plug and play. So I'm gonna get this light, we're gonna bring it over here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get all this stuff taken apart, and we'll dive in on getting this light installed. Moved over the final bracket over here, and I was mistaken a minute ago. I said something about it looked like it was the plug was clipped down here. I guess maybe it just fell that way and somehow just clipped itself, but you do want to clip it to the actual original location. And so before you clamp this brace piece back in there, you want to just run your cable underneath, just like you did when you removed it, and it'll clip on to this little bracket here. Now, both of my plugs came with this metal clip already on them for some reason, so I removed them and just used the ones that were already on the the bracket that I moved over, and I just slid it in, and it just snaps over this tab. So when you remove it, pop the tab up, slide it out. When you want to plug it in, it just slides back in. It'll clip into place, and we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and move these over to the car. One light is in. I just kind of did this as a quick demo to figure out the best route of everything for the light, so we can cover it on this side. And one thing I did do was I went ahead and took this plug here. There's a little plug, and so I popped this plug out, and I drilled a small hole in the center. Well, this one's like half broken. Anyways, I drilled a small hole in the center. You might not even have to take the plug, you can just drill it right here. Might be easier. And you're gonna feed the little brown wire, which is this one right here. This is the wire that's gonna go to the third brake light, through that little plug, and that gives it into the car without having to try to run a wire through the, here, or, loop it around or anything crazy. So I just run it through this plug, and that's the only wire you need to actually pass into the car. And then we're gonna use that T-wire they gave us to hook it into the third brake light. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my drill. I'm gonna drill this out, and we're gonna get the tail light, bring her over here, and get everything lined up, and then we will get it mounted in here. Here's the plug, and I'll see if I can drill this thing out without collapsing it. I actually took it out on the other side, so I'm trying to shortcut it here. And just make sure you don't rip it back out. And not too bad. There we go. So you can clean it up if you want. I'll maybe cut this little chunk off, and then we can use this to route our third brake light wire. I have drilled out the plug here, but it turns out the end of the cable, because of the way it's crimped on there, it still can't fit through this hole. And I was hoping I didn't have to do this, but I did it on the other side already. Let's see if I can get this thing to pop out. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just cut a slice through this thing. You don't want to mangle it too bad, because you still want it to kind of seal when it's back in place. All right, kind of ugly. There we go. So cut it. Now I can slide the wire through here, and then we can it'll pinch close. It should still be mostly watertight. Might not be perfect, but it is what it is. So we'll go ahead and grab our light. And you probably can't see this, but I'm actually feeding the wire into the plug. As you can see here, maybe wind's kind of blowing my cameras around. It's getting kind of crazy, but we're just gonna slide that in there and lock this plug in. If you are notched it like I have, just make sure the notch is like on the bottom so water won't potentially get in there at any point. And maybe you can see that the plug is in place. Yeah, it feels locked in, so it should be good with that. And now we can go ahead and slide the light into place. Just line up all of your threaded screws or whatever these are at the back, and just make sure you pull up your resistor plug, get your plastic out of the way, and then you got to just kind of push it in place. It seems to slide in pretty easily. And there we go. So this is not pinched. Make sure it's not pinched on the hinge. Plug is still in place. There's only a little bit of wire coming out the back, so just make sure you don't lose that coming back through. And then now we can go ahead and throw our 7mm bolts and our 3 8mm nuts on the back. Now we have to add the resistor, and it just snaps into place nice and easy. And then you have a 3M, and I went ahead and actually installed it underneath the lip here, kind of under this hinge, on the actual light itself. You want this to be attached to the light. Just in case you need to remove this, you don't want this to be stuck somewhere else on your car and then have to deal with trying to, you know, remove it, unplug it or whatever. I mean, it's not a huge deal because it does unplug relatively easily, but I mean, if we can make it easy, might as well. I'll show you guys exactly where I have this attached here in a moment. There we go. And then what I like to do is to zip tie this up. I brought some zip ties, and who knows where I threw them. So let me go find my vanishing zip tie. Threw it in this container here, and just kind of, you want to just get these cables tied up so they're not rattling around while you're driving. And so yeah, let me grab my zip tie, and then I'll swing you guys in here, take a look exactly how I have this set up, and then we can actually start worrying about the third brake light hookup. That should be pretty easy since we did run the cable into the car. Don't have to worry about trying to mess with the weather seal or do any kind of, you know, I mean, technically you could just run it up here and then run it like this and run it around here. I just think that will look ugly compared to actually having it go through the car. All right, here we are with the wiring, and you kind of see the resistor where I put it. It's behind the lip of the light here. It's out of the way of everything. I have this, what is it, a single zip tie kind of holding the wires together so they won't be kind of flopping around in here, this little void. And you know, same setup here. So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab the harness for the third brake light setup, and we'll get this, the whole section of the, whatever this is, the fancy velvet liner of the inside of the trunk. Of course, I have a carbon fiber trunk, so I mean, yours will look pretty much like this, slightly different. I haven't, you know, one of these holes isn't punched out because there's no hole in the carbon fiber, but and I've done some work behind there, so the wiring's gonna be different because I have a switch and some other things, so I can't pull this down completely, but I can get it at least far enough to show you how we can get that thing connected. Go ahead and you want to remove your numerous clips. I use this little tool here. Just make sure you don't gouge out of everything, because I mean, this is a piece you'll be seeing, and if you're, you know, showing off your trunk or whatever, you don't want this to look like crap. Once you have the clips removed, you're gonna have to remove this little cover for your latch mechanism. See if I can get it to pop off. Just kind of clips in there. It's not too bad. Sometimes it just pops off, and sometimes you gotta give it some love. Hopefully, there it goes. Real quick, just to show you, it's got these little lock tabs. They lock into the trunk liner. And then this comes off, as mentioned, I have a switch wired into mine, so I don't want to damage that. Removing this. And you can see this is my excess wiring. You won't have this, so you can ignore all that. Knocking over my lights here. There we go. And what we're trying to get to is there is a connector up here on the back of your third brake light. I have a sequence third brake light, so I have some extra cables. You can see here, these are some extra cables that I ran for my show mode, which is that switch that was right here. You don't have to worry about that, but it does make getting this connector a little bit more difficult. Ran into a small hiccup with the little plug and play harness. Well, I guess it's a harness or whatever for plugging into your third brake light, which is this right here. Turned out it's it's equal length on both sides. What tees off, it's a short distance on each side of the tee. So since I'm planning on running both cables down that one side, one's going to be kind of close and one's going to have to go double the distance. So what I end up doing is I cut off one of the tees halfway down here, grab some extra wire, and not a master solder tech over here, but and so I just extended one side by a few feet. I'm going to put some heat shrink on this, and I'm just going to add this extra couple feet between the harness and the little plug that's going to go to the tail light. It's just going to be going to the driver's side tail light, since it's going to be further away. So I'm just knocking out this real quick, soldering this up, and then we'll get this back into the car. My fancy extended harness is finished up. We can get this thing plugged in. Now, if you're running it how I guess by default, run one this way, run this, one this way. You don't have to splice it in like I am, but pretty simple. One side of the connector is going to go directly into the third brake light, and then one is going to be plugged into the harness itself. And then it's pretty much just tapping off this extra line of wire. So pretty easy. So thankfully we don't have to splice into the third brake light itself. So that'll save us a little bit of trouble. And just make sure you snap everything in nice and neat. And then that plug into the third brake light, which is kind of a pain because my car's up in the air and I can't see shit. All right. She is plugged in, and you got a bunch of extra wire floating around here, so you might want to add a zip tie on this and clean it up just a little bit. And I have some zip ties somewhere. Here we are. You just can tuck this wire back up in here and out of the way. All right. And now you get to feed your harness through. As mentioned, I am running mine to the passenger side, both sides of my wire. And there's already this handy wire strand up here, so I'm just going to give it some zip ties on here and some Tesla tape. Dropping stuff everywhere here. And it doesn't have to look super pretty until you get to about here, and that's when it's going to come out from your trunk liner. So of course you don't want some ugly wiring hang out from there, so just make sure you clean it up. So 2 zip ties should be fine. And then I'm going to Tesla tape this to my other strand of wires, and I'm just going to take it on into this other strand that I have that then actually tucks underneath this liner here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this wrapped. Finished cleaning up the wiring here, ran it down over here, and then I tucked those wires up, and there's a little cutout, there's a little notch here, and I ran it behind these panels, and then one wire I just went to the back where I had to go through that little plug and plugged it in. They kind of flimsily connect together, so I'm not really sure if they're connected. I mean, they kind of look connected. I'm going to test this before I actually, then I'm going to Tesla tape them in place so they don't come loose. I just want to make sure they are connected. And then I ran the extended one I did behind this panel, so once this is buttoned up, it'll be tucked at the bottom near the floor area under this panel and behind this panel here. That's going to come around, and then I plugged it into this one, also going through the plug. So that should wrap these up, and the wiring super beautiful, as you can tell. And so I'm going to get this panel moved up back in place. We're going to put these connectors back in, and all this should be good. But we're going to test everything before I put all this interior stuff back together. And you do want to fit it through your trunk release lever, so don't forget that. And it does kind of feed through there. There we go. And of course, put your little snaps back into place, and you have your little wire harness going to feed through this notch in your trunk harness. My wire is now getting extremely thick, so it's kind of a tight squeeze. There we go. Trunk liner is back in place. Got this nice, still looks kind of clean, even though it does look a little girthy. Hopefully that's not a big deal. Now we want to go ahead and plug in the harnesses, the main headlight or taillight harnesses underneath on the brackets. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this plastic since it's flying all over the place here. Kind of, oh, I have a little bit of it stuck underneath my car, of course. I'll have to remove that. So I guess I tightened it down a little bit on that side and caught some of the plastic. Genius level move. Went ahead and plugged in the bottom 2 harnesses. Don't have everything up here put together. Just wanted to test the wiring to make sure everything is good. And as you can see, the lights are fully lit. Go ahead and hit the brake. They light up. I'll test the other ones here momentarily, but I wanted to put the trunk down real quick. Take a look. I got my Night Rider. Go ahead and let go of the brake. And you can see here, that's the sequence third brake light that I was talking about. It's got the inverse. It's got some kind of, I forgot what that's, the inverse Night Rider effect. So when I'm in show mode, it does this. And then actually, I have this wired switch. Check out that video if you're wondering about that. Did you hit something? Push the brake in. Okay, so this is doing the brakes. I'm not sure why these are on. I think these are reverse lights. The car is off. I'm not sure if they just light up. I think maybe they're parking light mode. So yeah, I'm gonna go take a look at this, make sure those are good. And I think my battery's kind of low too. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna get everything buttoned up. And I think we should be called this good to go. And now we get to reassemble the interior pieces. Remember, we need to just push out these trunk liners back to in place. Make sure your wiring is good. Make sure mine's kind of sticking out the bottom here. I'm going to bring it flush on the inside and the bottom portion. trailing underneath here. So I'm gonna go ahead and snap all this back into place real quick. I'm not sure if you can really see much, but I'll give you a tour afterwards. And don't forget your fuse cover. You can snap that back into place at your leisure. So these are lined up. Make sure you have it flush underneath the weather stripping, otherwise you could get water, potentially, maybe, or just look ugly. So, and I'm just cleaned up some of my wire runs here. Looks good. And now to fetch my countless snaps. Should be 6 if you remove the same ones that I have. I do have one piece that's kind of bent, it looks like almost. Looks like it came loose. So I'm gonna have to try fixing that. Yeah, that's good enough. It doesn't sit flush. I don't know if this piece got bent or something, but it is what it is. And lastly, we get to reinstall the ugly plastic back tray. And this is where you want to make sure your wires will be behind this piece. Or you can actually tuck it. Looks like I'm just going to tuck it under this foam. It's like a styrofoam base at the bottom of the trunk. So I'm tucking it behind that lip. So it looks like my wires will fit there pretty nice. You just don't want this thing to get caught up on anything important. And for this, these will snap down into these little horizontal notches, but also you got to line up the screw hole things here. I believe the weather stripping goes over top of it. I can't remember. So I'm going to put the weather stripping on top of it because that's how it is everywhere else. But I may be wrong. But I think it's, yeah, it does. So this weather stripping should go over top of this. And finally, you'll have your little spin bolts, or if you have the cargo net, you'll have these little latch pieces. And if you have the cargo net, go ahead and put that over the little snaps, or the little hooks. The most expensive cargo net you can get. And our trusty floor just sits on the bottom. And then if you have a cargo mat, go ahead and drop that in. I have the WeatherTech, which is quite nice. Form fit. And yeah, I'm actually going to be spinning this off into another video. So if you want to watch that video, it might be, I guess if you're looking at the camera, over here somewhere up on the little thing, I'm going to have the carbon fiber Anderson composite diffuser. But if you continue watching this video, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the bumper reinstall. But I figure I'll do that other video simultaneously, so I don't have to take this bumper on and off multiple times. It's not hard, but you know, I can minimize work, maximize fun, or something like that. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look, final look at this, and we'll wrap this one up until the bumper reinstall, which will be here shortly. there we have it. Kind of a pain. I'm gonna have to get the hardware in, the 7mm on each side, and then we have, I believe there's 7mm on each of the support brackets underneath. I'll show you guys that real quick, and we're getting this thing buttoned up. Had a little bit of issue getting this side, kept kind of rubbing on the bottom of the tail light here. I had to really push it in and then kind of mount, brace my leg on it and kind of lift it up. So a little bit more of a pain with that, but nothing you can't overcome. And then just make sure you got these tabs here and here. They kind of go underneath the tail light. So these little locking tabs here, and then you pretty much, like I said, you can see, you set it down on these things, and then you just want to bring up and lock in up here, both sides of the bumper. Here we are. I have these three, or this bolt was already on there, but you had to knock in these two 7mm bolts, and then we're gonna have to get the 4 bolts over here. 3 of them are, actually 4 of them, 4 7mm bolts. And I believe this one is a T15. I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure the corner ones are T15s. And so these two will be attaching to this plate here. I guess it's like an exhaust shield plate of some sort. That'll be going here and here. These two will be going to this, and then this one goes to this end piece here. And but before you do that, you might want to go ahead and plug all your plugs back in. There's 2 on this side, the 2 big connectors, and then you'll have the one kind of small. You can see it maybe kind of this, almost looks like a coax cable or something looking cable. There's one on this side. Make sure you get those plugged in before you start getting crazy mounting everything up. And so I'm gonna go ahead and knock these out, and then we will take a final look here. Inside the driver's side, rear wheel well, back corner area here, and I just wanted to point out, do not forget to install the 7mm bolts here. If you have a collection of bolts, you didn't keep them separated. This is, I believe, the smaller, doesn't have a large washer around the bolt head, and don't go crazy on it, just tighten it up. They'll clean up the gap right here. And then you have your, of course, 2 plugs here on the driver's side, 1 coax looking plug on the passenger side. And once you get these things plugged in, it's going to be gray to gray, black to black. Hit the red locking tabs, and then of course you want to relock them into the body of the car on the little slots that keep it up out of the way. And then on this side you can also see those little shields here that you're going to be bolting into from the diffuser upwards. Back under the car, just wanted to show you guys real quick, bolts all are in, other than this T15 on the end. And if you have the OEM diffuser, which probably most people have, that should be no problem, because a little bit of this fitment issues with the Anderson Composites diffuser. This doesn't fit on the ends very well, and that pulls this screw out of. Well, I mean, I could punch one through. I'll just leave it out. It's still solidly in place. So if that's why you're wondering, I have a missing screw. It's going to be on both sides, same area. It's because of that. So if OEM should be perfect, all these bolts should be nice and tight. Don't over torque anything and break anything, and then make sure these little I guess these are partial heat shields for your exhaust, aren't rattling. So if you move it around good, it shouldn't be bouncing off of your exhaust or your exhaust valve device here. So real good. So yeah, we're gonna get up top and put the little top caps over the lights, and we should be good to go. We'll take a final look. Final little bit for taillight install. You got these little caps to go over the taillights, and as mentioned a few times, you have these little hooks on here, kind of a hook, that actually interfaces in that little groove right there where the bumper is. So you want to bring this in and kind of get that to hook in. See how it's nice and tight there? And then you can drop it over the little rubber stopper here and kind of get it to fall into place. It's gonna kind of lock in right here. A little bit tight here around the stopper. It depends on how high you have it up. And I already went ahead and pushed this one down. This one seemed like it fits a little bit better. So just make sure, there we go, there you go. It's gonna kind of clip, you might clip it, it has to make sure it's behind your taillight. So we got this nice little clean look here. See how it flows around the taillights. nice and neat. And then of course you're gonna get your little clips in here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in. And of course, don't forget, you're going to need to install your 3 T15s on both sides to lock in your liner. I'm gonna knock that out as well. And then we'll just go ahead and take a final look at these taillights. And you know, overall, just real quick, I'm really liking them. Maybe when I'm driving, people think I'm in a Corvette. No, probably not. But it's the best of both worlds. You got the nice, clean vet look in the rear. You got the ZL1 sexiness and power. Looks like that's a wrap. Auto Addict's Umbra C8 style LED taillights installed. You know, unfortunately for 2019 and up, Chevy decided to make what you would think would be a fairly simple install to a intermediate install, because anything where you have to pull body parts off to get to something like that is you know, a little bit more work than what you would think. I believe the older ones, you could just pop the trunk, pull that little cover off, go around from the back, unbolt them, and these things came out. But nope, not for 2019 and up. So a little bit more involved. Hopefully this you know, kind of spelled out exactly what you needed to do. And you know, I think it turned out pretty good. Went with the smoked ones, of course. I think they go real nice with my satin steel Camaro, plus with my carbon fiber. Kind of gives it a nice, you know, silver smoked black and silver, you know, DeLorean, whatever look. Back to the Future. Pretty sweet. We're gonna go ahead and get this camera on a stand here in a moment, show you how it looks. Everything lit up with everything reassembled, with bumper in place. But you know, I think it's looking pretty good. And as mentioned, I now have the Anderson Composites carbon fiber rear diffuser. So, you know, beautiful combo. I do need to clean my tailpipes and really my whole car. It's been sitting for a little while I worked on everything. I'm gonna show you guys fitment. I mean, really good. I mean, no weird, strange gaps. Of course, you'll probably have a little bit better since I do have a carbon fiber trunk. And you know, carbon fiber with anything, they're never 100%. I could probably do a little bit more tweaking with my trunk, but I think it fits pretty good. You know, adjusting your trunk isn't impossible. Just adjust your hinge bolt. So if you do notice you have some weird gaps going on, you can lift up the trunk, the hinge on side, it's a couple bolts. Have somebody hold the trunk, you adjust the bolts, loosen them up, and you can kind of tweak your trunk. And also you can tweak those little rubber stops that are in there underneath that, next to that plastic cover, and you can see how far it settles down and whatnot. Total pain if you're doing it solo like I did. You have to do a lot of balancing and adjusting, but you know, not too bad. So you see, it seems like it's a little bit more flush on this side. Maybe not, maybe not. That's just a light. So you have it kind of sinks in a little bit. I think that's OEM ones did as well, where you have a little bit of a lip here. You know, a little bit of a lip. Yeah, I mean, I think it sits pretty good. I think I have my bumper, I think, fully snapped in. But, you know, it sits. OEM fitment overall. And I'm gonna go get this thing on a stand. We're gonna take a look at how it lights up, how it looks. Maybe turn these lights off and we'll get a better perspective. And there we have it. That is the conclusion to this install of the beautiful Auto Addicts Umbra C8 style LED taillights. And overall, not a difficult install. Just make sure you stick to your attention to detail on the wiring especially. And you know, other than removing and reinstalling that bumper, it's pretty straightforward. Fitment's great. Overall, I'm super happy with it. Can't wait to get the car back on the road and really see how this thing looks while I'm driving around, especially on my third person view behind, like bird's eye view camera. I think it'll look super sweet. And yeah, so hopefully you guys found this video useful. I know there's a couple videos on these taillights, but hopefully I'm trying to make this one the most in-depth, comprehensive video. Sometimes I kind of drone on. This video is quite long. If you know how to take the bumper on and off, you can skip a large chunk of this video and just get to the meat of the wiring and the taillights themselves. So, as always, feel free to subscribe. Super helpful. Trying to hit 4,000 subscribers. I know it's not a lot for most people, but you know, hitting 4K would be awesome. Feel free to hit the bell, get notifications. I got a lot more videos coming. I have that Anderson composite diffuser video is going to be coming out there probably within a few days after I post this one, and I'm probably going to split off the bumper removal and reinstall into its own video as well for anybody who just wants to take the bumper on and off, doesn't worry about taillights or the diffuser, and more of a shorter, informative video to hopefully get that kind of in its own little space to, you know, just for anybody who may find that useful. But, you know, for this video, that's a wrap. Check the description for links to the taillights, any of the other thing, the wiring stuff, the Tesla tape, and maybe anything else that might be useful. And definitely check out Auto Addicts. They have a lot of cool products. I have the really nice taillights. Now, this isn't a sponsored video by any means. I paid full price for my taillights, other than the typical coupon code you can find on the internet with a Google search. So, or any of like the President's Day sale or Black Friday or whatever. So definitely check out for some coupons. You can save a few bucks on your purchases. And you know, as always, make sure you guys have a good one. Hit comments, leave me some comments, ask me some questions. I'm always open. Hit me up on Instagram, shoot me a comment down in the description, you know, in the comment section down in the video. Answer them usually super quick. Always, you know, always awesome to hear from other people, chat it up. And, you know, as always, have a good one and peace.